But it's also really important to me that I share with you not only the really good, exciting moments, but also like the little blips.
His name. He is speaking out publicly against Rachel Zegler and blaming her for the film's catastrophic failure at the box office.
Rachel Zegler is being sued. But this time, it's not by tabloids, Twitter trolls, or angry fans. It's by the very people who once called her the future of West End theater. The producers who gave her a shot at a career-defining role are now accusing her of sabotage, breach of contract, and turning a multi-million-dollar musical into a PR disaster.
Studios really need to go back to what they originally did, which was tell your stars to shut up and not say things, because no one is paying to hear your star say offensive things off the screen.
And if even half of what's been leaked is true, this might be the most explosive backstage scandal Broadway and Hollywood have seen in years. But let's be clear, this isn't just a dramatic fallout. This is a legal war. Allegations, receipts, lawsuits, and now, a rumored counterattack. It's Rachel Zegler versus the production that once praised her.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
I think it's fair to say that no one can stand the star of this movie.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
A starlet's rise meets an industry's fury, with court documents waiting to detonate. How did a breakout actress go from Golden Girl to alleged liability? Why are insiders claiming she was toxic, combative, and impossible to direct? And what's this about leaked rehearsal tapes, screaming matches, and six-figure damages? This story isn't just about a failed revival or a PR nightmare. It's about how fast the entertainment world turns when contracts get broken, when reputations get shredded, and when someone dares to fight back. So buckle up, because we're not just talking about diva behavior or media spin, we're talking about career destruction on both sides.
Jonah Platt, whose father helped produce the latest Snow White film, had some very harsh words for star Rachel Zegler.
For context, Variety wrote a report recently titled Inside Disney's Snow White Fiasco, beefed up security and a social media guru for Rachel Zegler. I am in the thick of rehearsals for Romeo plus Juliet, so I'm going to get out of here. Bye for now. The Variety story notes how a couple of minutes after posting this, she replied to her own tweet and wrote, "And always remember, free Palestine."
Variety breaks down how after this tweet went viral, the studio was shocked that she would mix a promo tweet with a political statement. As a result, Mark Platt flew to New York to speak with her in person.
But the backlash was just beginning. Long before lawsuits and rehearsal leaks, the tension started brewing in a very different place: Disney. When Rachel Zegler was announced as the new face of Snow White, the casting was hyped as a bold move for a modern audience. But Rachel didn't exactly stick to the fairy tale script. In press interviews, she openly mocked the original 1937 film, called it dated, and dismissed the prince as unnecessary. Her bold statements, meant to signal female empowerment, quickly spiraled into a full-on PR nightmare.
Rachel Zegler is now suing Disney Studios after her bomb of a movie, Snow White. According to reports, she's allegedly pursuing action for wrongful termination, gender discrimination, and defamation.
And then came the tweet that cracked everything wide open. Just minutes after posting a promotional update for her upcoming show Romeo plus Juliet, Rachel followed it up with a charged political statement. And always remember, free Palestine. It took Disney executives completely off guard. According to sources cited by Variety, the studio was stunned that Rachel would mix a promo for an upcoming project with a polarizing global issue. Within days, her team scrambled to contain the damage, and even her producer's father, Mark Platt, allegedly flew to New York to speak with her in person. Behind the scenes, security was reportedly increased, and a dedicated social media consultant was brought in to help manage the growing backlash. But by then, it was too late.
I haven't been out to walk in a warm place in a really long time, so it kind of feels just like wrong, and I feel like I'm forgetting everything that I know.
But it's also really important to me that I share with you not only the really good, exciting moments, but also like the little blips where I just don't feel great. I think that's really important that you see me as a human being, because I think a lot of people don't. So I don't know. I want that disclaimer out.
The internet had latched on, dissecting every word, every post, every red carpet appearance. What started as fan excitement quickly turned into outrage, boycotts, and YouTube takedowns. The cracks were showing, and Rachel was at the center of all of it. But that was just the public side. What happened next would rattle the production itself. While Disney scrambled to contain the Snow White chaos, Rachel was preparing for what should have been her artistic redemption, a lead role in the Evita revival, one of the most iconic musicals in theater history. Set to debut on the prestigious West End stage, this was marketed as Rachel's chance to prove she was more than a Hollywood name. It was her Broadway crossover, her chance to silence critics. But instead of a triumphant return, what unfolded was a slow-burning implosion. From the beginning, insiders say things felt off.
And then, because, you seem to be dominating the world of musicals, you're doing Evita in London, right?
Big Andrew Lloyd Webber fan right over there.
Was that your dad whistling?
Yeah. You guys see Stanley Tucci back there?
That'll be fun, huh?
It's gonna be the best time. It's my West End debut. I'm so excited.
Rehearsal reports leaked, quiet at first, suggesting Rachel was arriving late, ignoring direction, and creating tension backstage. What should have been excitement turned into dread. One anonymous production assistant claimed Rachel would sometimes leave rehearsals midway through, citing exhaustion or scheduling conflicts, even when the full cast was waiting on her cues. Then came the whispers. She clashed with the musical director over choreography. She allegedly gave unsolicited notes to ensemble cast members. And worst of all, she openly questioned the creative vision in front of the crew. Some saw it as artistic passion. Others called it defiance. Whatever it wasn't working. And it wasn't just attitude. It was disruption. Props went missing, blocking got thrown off, and multiple full-run rehearsals had to be rescheduled entirely. Each time Rachel didn't show up or walked out early, costs piled up. Morale dipped. Sponsors started asking questions. The dream was crumbling fast. And then came the meltdown that would split the cast in half. And what happened next? It couldn't be covered up. No one saw it coming.
Studios really need to go back to what they originally did, which was tell your stars to shut up and not say things, because no one is paying to hear your star say offensive things off the screen.
Or maybe they did and just hoped it wouldn't happen. But what happened inside that rehearsal room broke whatever was left of the production's fragile balance. According to multiple leaked reports, Rachel Zegler had what insiders are now calling a full-scale breakdown during a closed-door cast run-through. Tensions had been building for weeks, but this time they exploded. Publicly, loudly, and in front of nearly every major department on set. Sources say it started with a disagreement over a line reading. The director gave a note, Rachel pushed back. But instead of moving on, the situation escalated fast. Witnesses claim Rachel threw a prop, refused to continue the scene, and eventually started yelling, accusing the director of undermining her performance. Minutes later, she stormed off stage, and security was allegedly called to escort her out of the building. That story hit the cast like a bombshell, and within 24 hours, the internet got wind of it too. Leaked footage, grainy and shaky, surfaced online showing a completely different actress performing Rachel's part during a closed-door rehearsal. It wasn't just an understudy moment. This was a full-on replacement. The implication was clear. Rachel was out, and the production didn't want the public to know yet that the damage was done. What came next? Even worse, private director notes began circulating, labeling Rachel as combative, toxic to ensemble morale, and a threat to the production's stability. These notes weren't supposed to go public, but once they did, they ignited a firestorm. Suddenly, it wasn't fan gossip anymore. It was confirmation from the inside. Rachel disappeared from the spotlight. No apology. No denial. Just silence. But silence doesn't stop lawsuits. And the one heading her way was about to get very, very real. When the lawsuit finally surfaced, it wasn't through a press release or an official announcement. It was through a leak. A sharp, surgical leak. Insider reports began to trickle across gossip blogs and theater forums.
Rachel Zegler has finally responded to all the Snow White backlash she's been receiving. And you won't believe this, but she allegedly apologized for her rude comments. She said that it was never her intention to come off as ungrateful after those videos started going viral.
Never wanted to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have.
And even gave a speech saying how playing the role of Snow White is such a big dream for her, and that she's always been a big fan of Disney. However, just a few weeks ago, she was saying nearly the complete opposite.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
Rachel Zegler was being sued by the Evita producers, and not just for bad behavior, but for breach of contract, morals clause violations, and financial damages that reportedly threatened to sink the entire production. According to what's now widely circulated among industry insiders, Rachel's contract wasn't a standard actor's agreement. It included strict rehearsal attendance requirements, conduct expectations, and, most importantly, a morality clause. That clause is the one producers are now using as their primary weapon. It states that if her actions on or off the stage caused reputational harm to the show or its backers, they had the right to terminate and pursue legal damages. That's exactly what they're doing. What are they claiming? Everything. Missed rehearsals, public humiliation, a toxic atmosphere that made cast members walk out, and direct financial losses, reportedly in the six-figure range. One insider said the producers want between £250,000 and £500,000 in damages, not just to cover delays and setbacks, but to recover lost sponsorships, canceled media deals, and the cost of recasting Rachel's role at the last minute. The complaint even allegedly includes emails, rehearsal logs, call sheets, and security reports, each one adding weight to the claim that Rachel didn't just flake, she torched the set on her way out. And the producers? They want every penny back. But Rachel wasn't about to go down without a fight, because, behind the scenes, her lawyers were already preparing their next move. And what they were planning could flip the entire case upside down. As the lawsuit chatter exploded online, something strange happened. Rachel Zegler vanished. No tweets. No interviews. No damage control. For someone once so active on social media, her silence was deafening. But according to insiders, that silence wasn't panic. It was strategy. Behind the scenes, Rachel's legal team was already gearing up for a counterattack. Reports began to swirl that Rachel believed she was deliberately set up to fail. Her team is reportedly preparing a countersuit, claiming that the Evita production was a toxic environment from the very start. Cold, isolating, and ultimately hostile. She may argue she wasn't just difficult to work with. She was pushed, pressured, and painted as the villain to cover up deeper issues within the production. One particularly damning detail, Rachel allegedly received multiple warnings about her conduct. But according to her team, those warnings were vague, inconsistent, and weaponized after the fact. She's reportedly preparing to claim emotional mistreatment, breach of confidentiality, and even constructive dismissal, a legal term for being pushed out without technically being fired. And then there are the leaks. Rachel's lawyers may argue that the production itself violated its own contractual obligations by allowing confidential rehearsal footage and internal memos to hit the internet. If her team can prove the producers leaked those materials, intentionally or through negligence, it could shift the blame entirely. Legal experts watching the case have already dubbed it a mutual destruction scenario. If both parties go to war, both reputations could burn. But Rachel's side isn't blinking. Plan seems clear. Strike back hard, flip the script, and reclaim control of the narrative. But the internet had already picked sides, and the public reaction was nothing short of explosive. The moment lawsuit rumors broke, the internet didn't wait for court filings. It detonated. TikTok, Reddit, X, formerly Twitter, YouTube, every platform turned into a digital battleground. Fans, critics, industry insiders, everyone had something to say, and no one held back. On one side, Rachel Zegler's die-hard defenders rose like an army. They called the lawsuit a smear campaign, a calculated takedown, orchestrated by bitter producers looking for a scapegoat. A viral TikTok showing rehearsal clips with the caption, "You don't hate her, you hate that she wouldn't bow down," racked up millions of views in hours. X exploded with threads comparing Rachel's situation to past actresses who were punished for being outspoken. One post read, "They replaced her, trashed her name, and now they're suing her. This is career assassination." It had over 90,000 likes. But on the other side, the backlash was brutal. Reddit threads lit up with theater fans and former cast members sharing cryptic anecdotes. Some claimed Rachel was given chance after chance, paid upfront, treated with kid gloves, and still chose to blow it. A top-voted comment in a West End theater forum said, "This wasn't a misstep, it was sabotage. Their right to sue." Calls for blacklisting started popping up, with users citing her behavior on both Evita and Snow White as patterns, not flukes. The internet fractured, one side defending her as a wronged woman fighting back against toxic industry standards. The other, done with the drama, demanding accountability. And somewhere in the middle, the quiet voices asking if both sides might be telling the truth. But one thing was clear. This wasn't just a celebrity gossip story anymore. It was a reputational war. And every tweet, every clip, every leaked note added fuel to the fire. And in Hollywood, perception is everything. While fans argued online, industry insiders were making decisions, quietly and fast. Casting agents, producers, brand reps, people who never tweet, never post, and never comment publicly were suddenly in meetings. Not about Rachel's talent, about her risk. One anonymous casting director told a theater blog bluntly, "It's not just about what she did. It's about how much chaos she brings into the room." Behind closed doors, Rachel Zegler had gone from being Hollywood's next big star to a walking PR nightmare. And while her fans defended her fiercely, studios don't bet millions on maybes. Reports started surfacing that Rachel had already been quietly removed from multiple projects. Not fired, just uninvited. Casting talks dried up. Promo appearances were dropped. Brand deals, especially in the wake of the Snow White backlash, were put on hold indefinitely. According to insiders, even Disney's team began reconsidering her long-term viability. Translation, she's on thin ice, if not already frozen out. And it didn't stop with film. Theater insiders began pulling out of collaborations. Rumors circulated that a major Broadway producer rejected her for an upcoming revival, citing ensemble instability. West End directors whispered that the Evita scandal wasn't just about legal contracts. It was about energy. Energy that disrupted, divided, and damaged. Her public image, once framed as confident, outspoken, and progressive, was now reframed as combative, difficult, and volatile. And in entertainment, perception can kill opportunity faster than any court ruling. But Rachel's team wasn't done. Not by a long shot, because if the producers thought they had the last word, they weren't prepared for what came next. So here we are. What started as a few tense rehearsals has spiraled into one of the most talked about entertainment lawsuits of the year. The producers of Evita aren't backing down. They're claiming Rachel Zegler broke her contract, wrecked their production, and set off a chain reaction of lost sponsors, missed deadlines, and backstage chaos. And they say they've got the receipts, emails, call logs, rehearsal reports, even internal memos, all ready to be submitted if this case goes to trial. But Rachel's silence? That's no longer just a pause. It's a buildup. Behind the scenes, her legal team is reportedly preparing their own receipts. They're not just denying the allegations. They're preparing to flip them. Leaked reports suggest she'll accuse the producers of violating her rights first, of creating a toxic environment, leaking confidential material, and damaging her image beyond repair. If true, that makes her not just a defendant, but a victim with grounds for her own lawsuit. And the stakes? They couldn't be higher. If this goes public, court documents could reveal every detail, every fight, every email, every payment. Studios will read them. Brands will analyze them. And for Rachel, those pages might determine if she walks into another lead role or gets quietly locked out of the industry altogether. The entertainment world is holding its breath. This isn't just tabloid noise anymore. This is reputation warfare with real legal consequences. If Rachel wins big, she might rebuild her image as the artist who stood her ground. But if the producers prove even half of what they've alleged, the damage might be irreversible. So what's next? Will this end in a settlement behind closed doors? Or will it explode on the public stage? Because one thing's for sure, the silence won't last forever. And when the next twist drops, the entire industry will be watching.